Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to 3 Buck Theater. Today we're going to be talking about Alien Covenant, right? Because that new trailer was dropped last night, and oh my god, that thing looked fucking amazing. But there's been one question that has been kind of racing through everyone's minds since it was announced and since these trailers have been dropping. Just how connected to Prometheus is Alien Covenant? And is it a pre-sequel basically within the franchise? Now, there are going to be spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to know anything, don't go forward. I just want to make that abundantly clear because the spoilers that I'm going to be talking about, unfortunately, were shared by Slash Film, and they didn't put the spoiler tag. So that's kind of dicky. That's just dickish. They're usually better than that. So I'm a little bit ticked off. But I think we all knew this was coming, but it's kind of like individual spoilers, basically. So you've been warned. Anyway, moving on. So we do know that the crew of Alien Covenant, right? Somehow the movie takes place before Alien, after Prometheus, but we don't know by how many years. That still hasn't been explained yet. But the question is, what the fuck happened to Noomi Rapace, Shaw, her character Shaw, and David at the end of 2012's Prometheus? We don't really know per se just yet, but what we do know is that the crew of Covenant definitely encounters some information about them. Now, before I get into that, according to Damien Bashir, who was in the film, when asked about Shaw, he did say, like, the crew is not supposed to know that happened before then, but they find out many things that didn't go right, essentially. So clearly, you know, if you watched the trailer from yesterday, you saw that they, you know, landed on the planet and there was an engineer ship there and someone was growing wheat and someone was farming it, right? Well, I have a feeling what they're doing with and I don't know if it's going to be LV-246. It's entirely possible that it might be. You know, if at this point in time, if they came out and said that the planet in Alien Covenant is LV-246, then I'd be like, all right, like, fine. You know, this would just make it work. But essentially, they're going to land on the planet. There's someone else was already living there. Someone else had been farming there. I think that is Shaw. In my honest opinion, I think she crash landed the jockey ship, which we do see a crashed jockey ship that looked like it had been there for hundreds of years. We do know that was in the trailer, and I think it's entirely possible that she was farming it. Now, Mark Huffman, who's a producer, did say that Covenant will follow in the footsteps of Prometheus and deliberately leave questions unanswered, so they could explore that in another sequel. He says, that's always Ridley's thing, leave a question open so you get them back next time. At the end of Prometheus, there were questions people wanted answered there, and they were going to get some of those answers in this movie, and we'll leave a few different questions for the next one, which is I mean, I get it. You always want to leave them wanting more. I understand that in terms of Hollywood, but in the Alien movies, people, I think, are now just wanting an answer. Like, the idea of Prometheus was very much, how did the xenomorphs come into existence? How did this happen? What prompted us? And so they decided to kind of take it back to our own engineers and trying to find God, and you know, man versus God is essentially the idea that came from Prometheus. And in the end, it all went to shit, even though the theatrical cut of the movie was not the best thing ever. There's a couple deleted scenes that really explain why the engineer decided to go rogue and kill everyone. I don't know why that wasn't in the fucking finished product, but whatever. So there were questions that were raised from Prometheus that we could have gotten answered if they just would have left in some deleted scenes, or, you know, not let Damon Lindelof write the fucking last act. But in this movie, they're going to kind of do the same thing, minus Lindelof, hopefully. But Catherine Watterson, who is the main character of the film, she did say that they're going to find out a bit as well. Now, the thing is people have been talking about the fact that Michael Fassbender's character is in the movie. Like, is he playing David? Well, no, he's actually playing a different android. I think this one's name is Walter. And so yeah, his name is Walter. So I have a feeling that Walter is going to come into contact with David. I have a feeling that David's severed head is still going to be floating around that engineer ship, or that space jockey ship, and then that's what we're going to be able to see. So essentially, this is what this is what is out there. So this news is out there. So again, it's not, I guess, super spoilery, but if you just don't know, then you don't want to know. Mark, okay, so one of the people in the film said, like, when it comes to Shaw and David's character, he says that's the surprise of the film. You're not meant to know she's in it. So that's got out there, as everything does, so I'm not going to talk to you much about it. You're going to have to watch the movie to get that surprise. So we know that Noomi Rapace is going to be in the movie in some capacity, right? Well, this is what it says on Slash Film from what they saw when they were on set. They said, during our day on set, we were able to watch one scene actually being filmed. Whether by accident or design, it touched on this exact subject. Although we were not able to hear the scene, we could see the footage. Watterson's Daniels and Fassbender's Walter wander through the tunnels of an abandoned engineer ship and come across a partially flooded room. Someone used to live there. They find a helmet. They find an abandoned pair of military-esque dog tags. It's clear Shaw used to live here. It's on the ship she absconded with at the end of Prometheus. The question now isn't will Shaw be in the movie, but rather what happened to Shaw and what's left of her. And that is a good question to ask. You know, again, if this takes place hundreds of years or 100 years or whatever after the events of Prometheus, you know, like, we want to know what happened to Shaw, because at the end of the movie, Shaw's like, I'm going to go find the engineers and I'm going to get answers for what the fuck just went down and why everyone's dead and all this other crap. You know, and I'm kind of glad they're not going to tell us that. To be honest with you, I kind of felt like that was going in a bad way. Because I remember when Prometheus 2 was talked about, Prometheus 2 was like, you know, going to be Shaw's adventure. And as much as I enjoyed Noomi Rapace in Prometheus, and I felt that the movie was good despite its flaws, I didn't really care as much about going forward. I wanted to see a new cast of characters, and given the fact that they've kind of designed this movie, The Covenant, around an exploration colonization mission, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. Like I said, I do believe that they are going to tie this in to LV-246. I have a feeling that, you know, that this one may tie into Alien more than anything else. And I know that, you know, Prometheus was not meant to be a prequel to Alien, but you see the xenomorph skeleton on the wall, or the head of the xenomorph on the wall in the space jockey ship. Like, you know what's going on. But the great thing about this is Ridley Scott listened to people's complaints about Prometheus, and he took them to heart, according to the producers. And I think that's why he wanted to make this movie. This movie, in essence, is going to be kind of a soft reboot, whereas Prometheus is meant to be that way a couple years ago. It was received a little bit negatively. So this one, they're trying to reboot the franchise in a way that's more akin to its original. And they're going to do it in a way that's going to be more in tonally the same as the original. Even though, look, just going back to Prometheus, say what you will about that movie, the cinematography is, oh my fuck, amazing, right? The cinematography is goddamn just gorgeous on that movie. So I'm hoping for something similar here. Everything I've seen so far looks fantastic. The only thing I didn't really like was showing the xenomorph outside trying to bash in on the spacecraft, because it was CG. You know, I get it. It was CG. It just looked a little bit too CG. I prefer the guy in the costume. That's just me. But this is one that I am looking forward to. When it comes out in May, I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to seeing if they're able to live up to the hype again, because Prometheus was hyped to hell and back. I saw it at the midnight screening at the Hollywood ArcLight in 3D, you know, and everything else, and it was good, but it wasn't great. It's one I've watched a few times on home video since then, and I like it now more than I did seeing it in theaters. But I hope that this makes up for it, and I hope that this doesn't kind of take. I hope that, again, going back to Prometheus, one of my biggest problems was kind of like the whole the Wayland aspect of it, whereas like that was kind of a subtle fuck you to the audience, in my opinion. Just because it felt so lazily like handled. It was like this like third act shift that made no sense. Like it didn't need to happen like that. I think they wrote themselves into a corner, and that was how they got out of it. I think, again, Lindelof, that's my take. Whatever, I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that Alien Covenant is going to be a good pre-sequel, or is it just, you know, do you just want it to be good on its own and hope that it builds up to a larger universe, and it just doesn't, like, do you just want it to not be Prometheus? That's my question. Or Alien Resurrection. So I am curious to know your thoughts. Anyway, my name is Matt Jarbo. This has been 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, thumbs up that video. Subscribe to the channel. Check back often for more content from me. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.